Hey guys, what's up? Is anybody out there? Stupid thing. Tell you what. Oh man. Hey Patrick, how you doing? Hope everybody's doing good tonight. I tell you what, that like almost that upset me a little bit there because yeah, my stupid computer decided to do a restart and start installing a bunch of other stuff. It must have been scheduled or something and I didn't know it. Can anybody hear me? Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I just want to make sure it's all working. So, Ohio, there you go, Vintage. Taylor, nice to see ya. KC, Justin Angel, Isaiah Granny, thanks for being here. Third in line, Shelly, William, Lisa, Jim, Vintage Silver. Hi to all of you guys, and hope you guys are having a good middle of the week. Hope everybody is starting to gear up just to kind of relax this weekend if you can. If not, hope you get what you need done. So, yeah, sorry about that first one there, guys. My computer decided to do some stupid update or something, so I had to actually stop that. Hi, Conspiracy Realist. How you doing? Yeah, God is good, Lewis. Jay, we do have a few things going on right now, and that's really why I popped on here tonight because, yeah, we got some flares and stuff like that going on. So we're gonna run through that. I hope to keep this one a little bit more short. I know Mark's on right now. Sorry about that, guys. I just don't have any other time to do it tonight. I try to go around Mark's show if I can, because I know he broadcasts later than most do. And I don't want to make people have to actually choose, who to go see or who to go hang out with. So I try to be, respectful of that. That way, everybody can catch everything that they need to or want to, that kind of thing. So, with that being said, I think we will go ahead and just jump into this. Bruce, how you doing? We do have some flare action going on now. It's nothing big, but it definitely is flaring. It's that active area on the sun, and we'll get to that in just a second. But as always, we're going to start here with the Schumann real quick. We are seeing some stuff on this too, guys, as you can see. Okay, these aren't huge issues, but these are definitely notable. This is like I said, I've been saying this for months. This is pretty much the norm now. I don't think we're ever going to go back to where we were before. And is that good or bad? With the Schumann, it's always up in the air, because just as much as natural as this is. And when things are natural on here, it's good and it can be bad. So it's both, right? Because frequency is everything. So it's got to be both. Just depends on what frequency, what hertz you're vibrating at and all that, and how it affects you and all that. Yeah, Sprocket, you know what? It's funny you say that because he says, a lot of anxiety the last few days. Everybody's been... everybody's been saying that. I've experienced it a little bit myself, but I always have a little of that anyway, so it's hard for me to kind of, tell. I do notice when I have an uptick of that, and I did. Yeah, Tab, I'm in eastern Indiana, and we haven't had rain either. Like I said, I work for a lawn care company, and they actually canceled mowing this week altogether. They took their mowing crews and and they're doing other things right now. But that is, yeah. And it's time to do like a third treatment on the yards too, as far as fertilizing and weed control. And typically we would, we got a big tank and we go around and spray with the, gas powered pump and this truck and all that kind of thing. But we couldn't do that this time. We had to use granule because it's so dry. That's actually a good tip for everybody. If you're gonna weed control your yard and it's dry, you're gonna burn your yard up. Not only that, it's not gonna work because if you ever spray quote unquote Roundup and stuff like that for weed control, you always want to water whatever you're getting ready to spray about a half hour before you spray it, because what it does is it actually opens up the pores in the plant and the roots, and it allows it to accept it up in there a lot better. So it kills the weeds better, and it helps the grass or whatever you're fertilizing get a lot more nutrients, and it becomes stronger. So, yeah, glyphosate is so bad. You know what, Tab? And I struggle with that every time because that's what we use. And now it's becoming more and more widely used because the farmers have figured out how to, they call it Roundup resistant. It will not kill it. I've actually went and sprayed sides of the road right next to cornfields, and it didn't do nothing to those things. It killed the grass, but it didn't touch the corn. So yeah. Asteroid. Yes, we're going to talk about that here in a second. Yeah, Tab, I know. But you always want to try to do what's best, even if it's your job. If you think it's completely, utterly wrong, I don't suggest anybody doing it, even if your boss tells you to. You got to do, you know what I'm saying? If it was a moral issue for me, I would say no, but it's really not. I mean, if I'm out in the country and stuff, and I'm not really in town around people, I won't usually. If it's going to affect anybody, it's going to affect me. I wear gloves. I didn't used to wear gloves, but I actually got poisoned once because it actually soaked in through my shoes and my hands. I had a leak on the handle, and it kept dripping on my hands all day, and I ended up, puking for 3 days straight. It was bad. So yeah. Yeah, I've been seeing some stuff like that, Nelson. Okay. Yeah, Tab, I will. I'm taking a lot more precautions now. Again, like I said, we always make sure the ground's wet when we spray it. So what that does is, unless you have the proper, boots and stuff on, it'll soak right through your feet. And just as much as we use, we can get toxins out of our body through our feet, the same thing's true the reverse way. Things can come in through our feet really, really quickly. I didn't really put it together right at first. Couldn't figure out why I was getting sick. Wasn't running a fever or nothing. Just was really, really nauseous for like days. And then finally it dawned on me. I was like, oh my gosh, I was just spraying. And it hit me. I was like, oh my God, I poisoned myself. And it's kind of my own fault. I should have been paying more attention. But so we'll go ahead and move on from that because I do want to get this stuff out to you guys. Yeah. A lot of people don't understand that skin is an organ. It's the largest organ on your body. Well, you just said that, didn't you? Biggest organ. Yes, you just said that. Yeah, it is. It's considered an organ, and it is your biggest one. So, obviously, it takes up the most area. All right. So, third and Isaiah's Granny, you guys are in here, right? If you're in here, go ahead and I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, thanks, Isaiah. Just can you keep an eye on the chat and stuff for me? I'm going to go ahead and put the chat away so I can get through this stuff for you guys. That way I'm not distracted. I find it easier if I get this out to you that way, and then I'll go back and check on the chat a few times. That way it doesn't just, I don't just ramble on like I usually do. Okay, so we got these spikes going on, guys. And this isn't, like I said, it isn't something that we haven't been seeing, because this is pretty much normal for us now. Is there, that's another question. Is there a quote unquote normal for the Schumann? you know, we often think the 7.83 is normal. But really, if you think about that, the 7.83 is what stayed there from the beginning when we were able to see what this actually was. When the Schumann was actually discovered and mapped out like this. So you wonder if it's just, if this is actually normal, or if it's just something that was there and it's staying there now and it wasn't supposed to be the quote-unquote normal part of it. I think all frequencies are probably normal if we really use it in that sense. But they'll affect you in different ways, and a combination of frequencies can affect you in a lot of ways. But I've found with myself, I'm very sensitive to this anyway. You know, actually Scott is too. We've had multiple conversations about this, and when I see things like right here, and then, you know, we get this decent spike, it only lasted for like 45 minutes, and then we get a couple hour lull, and then it goes back up like that. I find my mood actually is doing exactly that. It's going up and down, like I'm bipolar or something. But it only does it usually when I see this happening here on this tool. You know, obviously it can happen outside of that too, but the majority of the time I'm seeing stuff like this. So, so yeah. So, what are we going to look at first here? We're going to go to space weather here first, okay? I'm sure you guys can see that. That's 450 kilometers a second. That is an uptick. That is fast, okay? It's faster than what it typically is. It usually hangs right around 300, 350. And we are getting geomagnetic activity, okay? And what's happened here is you know, yesterday when I was showing you guys that stuff, we weren't in a solar windstorm or any kind of wind stream from the sun. Now we are. So with us having an uptick here, that some of that, you know, that stuff kind of hangs around, and then it doesn't take much more to kind of push us up. So that's kind of what we're seeing here. And this right here, that's a flare. It is a B-class flare. It's a very weak B-class flare, and it's nothing to worry about. But it did come from that active area on the sun that we've been watching. And what's interesting is there's a filament that released at the same time. And I'll show it to you here in a minute. I'm not sure if it's coming at us yet, because it just happened to, you know, obviously right here. I was kind of waiting on this to come in too, because this bar wasn't here when I first started making, you know, getting set up for the stream. It's not going to take much to put us up into G-level storms, okay? Because we're already here. We're at a 4 on the KP. It goes up any more, that means we're in a G1 storm. Okay, is it going to be something crazy? No, I've shown you guys exactly what geomagnetic storm levels can do, and what we can expect for each level. I did a video on that, matter of fact. But this right here, that's a very low level B. We were close to a B hanging out anyway, so it wasn't much of one, but it was Earth. It was on the Earth side where we could see it. So that does, you know, any kind of energy we were going to get from that, we already got it, and it's gone if it was going to hit us. Okay, I couldn't tell you if it was. Obviously, we've seen it, and light typically goes out, you know, kind of like buckshot, and spreads as it gets further away from the sun. Diffuses, I guess you could use that word. But was it the right angle? That's what we have to figure out. You know, I didn't really see anything. You know, the tools are reacting right now, but I can't tell if it was that or if it's because of that solar wind stream that we're in right here. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at the ACE data here, and you can most definitely see, if you guys remember yesterday, this didn't look like this. Okay. You know, this is about normal. Okay. And as it went through the day here, right around, let's see, about 10 o'clock UTC, which would have been about 5 hours ago, I think, 5 or 6 hours ago, we took an uptick in solar wind speed. So what that is we are now into that solar wind stream. I look for this to stay around for a minute. And just like in classic textbook fashion, the solar wind speed went up and the density started to come down. Why is that? Well, when the solar wind speed's moving fast, it actually takes some of the particles with it and it sends it out. Okay, so it's a lot like flushing, is what I call it. A lot of people actually call it that. It'll get some of those particles out of there. In other words, it carries more particles with it. Okay, kind of. I guess I don't really like using the word blow here because that's really not what it's doing. But it's kind of grabbing it and making the other right there, the material, the particles that are around won't be as dense because this stuff's moving faster. That's why the density comes down when the solar wind speed goes up. And we see that a lot. I mean, it's a very normal thing. It happens all the time. Oops. But as you can see this right here, what the heck? Okay, there we go. The BZ, obviously it's down here again in the negative, and that's why we are most definitely taking a little bit of energy right now. The phi angle's kind of acting a little whopper-jawed there too. Temperature, all three of these markers are really kind of within normal range, guys. But we're still taking hits, and the reason why is our magnetic field's a little bit weaker than what it typically is. So this, if you guys remember the one I showed you this yesterday, remember I even pointed out, I said, look how flat this line is. It's not flat now, is it? So something happened and this model updated and added this. This was not there yesterday, guys. We are right here right now. Okay? This big uptick it showed right here was nowhere on this graph yesterday. If you want to see that graph, all you have to do is go back to my video yesterday and you'll see it. And you can compare it. I guess I could have done that for you guys, but I just remember what it looked like. Maybe next time that's probably what I'll do. I'll just take a screenshot and show you the comparison. But just like classic fashion here too, same thing. Now remember yesterday this was 3 to 500. That was the full range over here. Now it's 3 to 700. Why? Because they're getting readings over 500. That's why they do that. So we always have to look at the range we're looking at. And same goes for the density. Sometimes that top number will be 10 like it is now. Sometimes it'll be 6. And other times it'll be 15. Or even greater than that. I've seen 20. So we'll push play here. And we'll let this thing, the spiralgraphs, play through. And you can kind of see. Right? Now this is a top-down view. This is a side view. And the ones here on the bottom is the actual speed, the velocity, and the one at the top is the density. So you can see what's going on there. And again, this thing does change, every few hours if it needs to, when it gets updated data. So if it needs to change, it will. Okay? I really want people to look at this kind of like a weather forecast. Here on just talking about regular weather, because we all know our forecasts change constantly. You can get on your phone and look at the weather forecast and check it 15 minutes later and they've changed it already. So again, what's happening there? Well, they're getting more data in, so they update their forecast, and that's exactly what's going on here. Is it the wrong thing to do? No, actually it's not. I don't think so. If it was me, I would take, like from right here, take these last 2 or 3 days on this graph and throw them in the trash and just show people this. Because this out here usually is almost always wrong, because it always changes. The off chance that it is right is just pure luck, in my opinion. So, I'll show you the auroras here because we're talking about solar wind. I'm going to take you guys over and show you some awesome pics, some aurora photography. Again, those cracks in the magnetic field, guys, was letting some of that stuff in a very, very intense way. I'm talking intense auroras. Extremely bright green auroras. I'll show them to you here in just a second. But as you can see, you can kind of see the chances of auroras actually are kind of dipping down here. As this rotates through, you'll see it again here. So you kind of pick them up there too, but you see how that kind of crept in there. So, and yesterday, remember I showed it to you, it was like way down here. And people have always asked me, can auroras get down that far? Yes, they can. Now, when we have big solar events, it was thought that they seen aurora on the equator once during one of the big solar flares. I can't remember exactly which one that was, but they said that that's what happened. So with that being said, I'll tell you what we'll do. Well, okay, we'll go over here real quick. Here's the aurora pictures. Okay, you guys see how intense that is? Now I'm not sure if they doctored that photo at all. I don't know. I don't think that they did. I think that's just the. Let's click on it and see what we got. Man, if that isn't doctored, that is intense. If it just wasn't, if it wasn't highlighted, like, just getting some of the background noise. I ain't saying they changed anything to make this thing look all nuts. What I'm saying is maybe they, added some sharpness to it, just to kind of clean it up. But that's intense stuff, guys. I mean, that is definitely one of the brightest auroras I've ever seen. Since I've been doing this anyway. We've all seen big, bright, beautiful auroras before, pictures. Not everybody's seen them for themselves. But you can see how that's, how that would mess with somebody. You walk outside and you look up, you'd think you're getting smacked with some He-Man slime or something. I don't know. So yeah. Okay. I did. I just X'd out of that. Sorry about that, guys. Hold on a minute. I have to go get it back. Okay. So obviously they're still watching this, right? The sunspot. So, but it's not a sunspot. It's just an active area with. That's all you can call it. They might consider it a coronal prominence, but it's not a sunspot. It doesn't have the characteristics on the surface. So once again, I have to say, we just took a solar flare. Okay, that is activity on the sun, and this time it was actually facing us, but it's not going to count as far as activity for this to determine what solar cycle we're in or how deep of a minimum we're in. They use the sole sunspot facing Earth. That's what they use. That's it. When they're deciding this kind of thing, they don't take into consideration any other parts of the sun. And I guess I get it, but I also don't. I think at this point with our technology, we should be able to do better than that. Just my opinion. So yeah, right here, discovered auroras on a comet. Now I talked about this yesterday. Okay, and the auroras you've seen there, we wouldn't have been able to see it with our naked eye. All right, they were out of our visible spectrum. It was showing up in a different gas. Okay, so that's what that was about. But that's why we couldn't. Sometimes we can't. Some people don't see them and all this and that. So they have to use their telescopes and filters and stuff to pick it up. But as you can see here, they're talking about the solar wind too. It says bright auroras. Says, what an incredible start to the season. Lights over Lapland. And these are awesome, guys. Go give these guys some love over here because it's just good stuff, right? The Russell McPherson effect, we talked about that a little bit. That is the effect, with the cracks in the magnetic field. So when we do get increased solar wind, at the same time these cracks are showing up, this is the result. And what else is a result? An uptick in earthquakes and all the other stuff we talk about. So we have to keep that in mind also. Now here's the asteroid everybody's been talking about, right? Yeah, guys, it. I mean, just read it right here. Look, it came inside of our satellite lines. It was closer to us than what some of our satellites are. So that tells you how close it was. And it's saying it was 28,254 kilometers above Australia and New Zealand. Okay, that's what they're saying. That's where it was at. So that's pretty close, guys. You know, it's not like, I know that you're looking at 28,000 kilometers as a very, very long distance. And to us here on the planet, yes. But when we're talking about the vastness of space, that is like minute. Okay? So it came close enough that the Earth's gravitational pull on it grabbed it and changed its trajectory. If you guys remember earlier on in the week, they had to update this thing a couple times because it was changing. And like we said before, I think sometimes they don't tell us things are out there because they don't know exactly what's going to happen. Here it is right here, the one in the middle. Okay, right there. So we got a 0.1 lunar distance, which is what we talked about yesterday. Now I want to, diameter. We're talking 6 meters. That's it. Okay, so it wasn't this big, huge rock. If you look at the other sizes here, that 6 wanes down to pretty much nothing compared to this other stuff. Could you imagine if it came that close and it was a 39 right here? The chances of it actually getting sucked in would probably be a little bit greater, just because of the mass of it. I would think that it would interact with us a lot different. But that's what's going on with that. And there's all, guys, every day you can come over here and look at this. And I've challenged you guys before to take a screenshot of this and come back in 5 days and compare the list again. And I almost bet you every time you do that, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 additions, which means they just discovered those. Okay? So it says there were 2,037 potentially hazardous asteroids that they're tracking. I'm not going to go too much into that. Obviously, that's, most of us think that's a lot, but it's really not. Like Billy Bob Thornton said in the movie Armageddon, like I said before, begging your pardon, Mr. President, it's a big-ass sky. So that is exactly what it is. It's a big sky. Okay, so let's go back here, and I want to show you guys the flare. Alright, I'm going to show it to you here first, and something else I'm going to show you too. We have a coronal hole right in front of it, and it's a substantial one, and I'll show you guys a little bit more. We're going to get more wind from that too in the next few days. So I do look, for, like an earthquake watch type of thing. When we're getting upticks in solar wind, that's always a possibility. Also, G-level 1 storm, possibly. It won't take much to get us there, guys. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit refresh on this thing. And let's see what we got. I'm going to zoom in. I'll take it in as far as I can, guys. That way you guys can get the best look of this thing as we possibly can get you. Okay, so watch. It just did it. That was the flare. Okay, watch at the end of the time lapse here. You'll see it's going to go like this. It happens real fast. Okay, because that's what flares do, right? You'll see it though. It's pretty bright. See that right there? That was the flare. It was real small. Okay, like I already showed it to you on the X-ray flux. But you can see how we got more filaments out here on the ends, out here on the limbs, just flying around, right? Now you can see right here how this thing is still active. Now it is in some sort of a decay status right now, and you ask yourself why. You guys remember yesterday I was talking about the phenomenon that when stuff becomes closer to directly Earth facing, things seem to fizzle out. And that could be what we're seeing here. I'm not sure if they have very much science or even proof of why it does that. And it only does it to the Earth. It's a really puzzling thing, guys. It's not to say that it can't fire stuff right at us, because it most certainly will, and it does. But a lot of times these things, when they get close to like right directly Earth facing, they'll start to fizzle out or fizzle out completely. We were watching this one last year. It was intense. It was an intense sunspot. And I'm telling you, about right here, it like disappeared overnight. It was nuts. But this is that coronal hole, and I'll show it to you in more depth here in a minute. But I want you guys to look at this too. We have a filament dancing around here, and it whips out. Watch. It's going to be a little hard to see. It's right here. And I know it's hard to see. I really do. These things are hard to see. So I'm going to back it off some. And you're probably going to see it better, because it's going to be right in here. You see it right there? It looks as though that released. And it happens right at the time that thing flares. So it could actually be related to that. I can't say 100%. But there it is moving again. Let me see if I can't zoom back in a little bit more. And I tend to leave things like these running a little bit faster, because we see it better that way. If you got camouflage, like the sun camouflaging things right behind it, it's just like if you're out hunting deer, the faster you move, the more the deer's going to see you, right? It's the same thing with this. So the slower you're moving, you won't see as much. We need that movement. See it right there? And I almost don't show you guys these things because they are hard to see. And I often think, am I doing more harm than good showing you guys this stuff? Because if you can't see it, then you kind of feel like, well, what's he talking about? But it's there, guys. Let me go in a little bit further. There's the flare. Okay, right here. Yeah, man, I know it's real hard to see, so I'm going to move on from that, because I wish I could show it to you better. But here's the 171. Did it stop playing? Yeah, it sure did. Let's play it. Actually, I'm going to refresh it and let it do its thing here. Because I had this set up like an hour ago, and it's been an hour since this thing's updated. There it goes. So watch up here. See it? It just blew right there. It happens right here. And it sputters a little bit before that, earlier on in that day. But the bigger one kind of just shoots out right here. It's not huge. Okay? See that? Bam. That was the flare. And it looks like it didn't even come at us. So I don't know that it did. I'm not sure if we can see the filament on this one. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. Let's just hang around here for a second and see if I can't see it. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything there. It's going to be hard to see on this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to back this off a little bit. And I have the teal version of this particular... At least I thought I did. There it is. Okay. Sometimes this thing will really show a good solar flare signature. I use this a lot when showing you guys solar flares, because it seems to draw it out better, and you can just get a better look at it. So again, you're looking right here. Picked up a little one there. Now the big one's coming, should anyway. There it went. So yeah, I just wanted you guys to see that because it did flare. What that's telling us is that even though this might be in a decay state, it can still do things. Okay, so if that was to happen right here, when it gets here, if this thing holds together, most likely some of that would come to us. Okay, there's actually a good chance if it flares here where it's at currently, some of it would come to us, and some of it did. That's why the X-ray flux went up. We caught a little bit of that solar flare. But I'm not seeing the filament on this one. Usually on the 304 is really, we can kind of see it on these other ones, but not this time. This one's it's really hard to see. And it actually kind of lends to what I was talking about yesterday with the stealthy solar storm. Those are solar storms that hit us that they didn't see come off the sun until after the fact, and they went back and were able to find it. They're so hard to see sometimes, and that's why. So, if we're going to talk about coronal hole, we're going to look at this one real quick. I'm also going to bring up the 193 too, I think. Yeah. So obviously you can see this. I mean, that's a gaping hole, okay? That's one of the bigger ones in a while, okay? If you look at the purple view, if you compare these, you get a better sense of what I was talking about yesterday, how you see different gases, and how even though it looks like it's really opened up right in here too, it's not. Okay, look at this. But, you know, it is saying that that's a little bit thinner in those areas because you can eliminate one of the gases, is what I'm trying to say there. But this one here, you can see that's deep and dark. It's attached to the northern hole. So is this one. Now, I think we're probably connected to this right now. So here in about 3 to 4 days, we're going to get stuff from this. And then right behind it, it's going to be this. So we're really going to have to stay on our toes and just pay attention to what's actually going on. I don't look for some big catastrophic anything going on with this part. But it is something we look at, and we can expect more earthquakes and all the above when we start getting these things. Right? Let's show you the geoelectric field model real quick. While we're doing that, I think I want to... How's the chat doing in there, guys? Oh, shoot. Hey, Mark, Gary, how you doing? Cool. Hopefully everybody's getting along in there tonight. I really hope so. Sometimes, guys, we're going to disagree, okay? We seen a little bit of that yesterday. Body and Soul, how you doing? Isaiah Granny, good. Thanks for that. You guys don't know how much I appreciate you moderators because, I've done it so much before. And I know how hard it is to do that kind of a thing sometimes, especially when when you're a subscriber of mine and you got to actually put another subscriber in timeout for breaking a rule or something like that. We're all adults, so it does suck because that's just one of those things. And what happened yesterday, I went back and read the chat. I think it was more of a misunderstanding of what was actually going on. But that just shows you that, when those things happen like that, that's because both parties involved, they're both good people and all that. It just shows that they're passionate about what they're doing. I think it's a good thing. That's why I encourage, what we call Discord, which is really nothing more than just open, unabated conversation that can be respectful at the same time. That's when you start making real progress, when you can do that. Because if you talk to me with respect, I'm going to listen to you a lot better. You start coming at me all sideways, I guarantee you're going to see the crack in my butt as I walk away. Because that's just what happens. That's just, I think most of us are like that. So, yeah. Seamstress for the band. Yeah. So you listen mostly? Yeah. I tend to do the same. I know you guys don't think that because I'm over here running my channel. But usually when guys, let me tell you this. We were just talking about Marfugel. He's doing his show right now too. I'm in there almost every day when he's doing his shows. I just simply don't talk. And there's a couple reasons I don't. One of the reasons is I'm trying to pay attention to what's actually going on. But the other reason is I'm trying to be respectful to Marf, because sometimes those of us that run channels, if we go over there and we speak in somebody's chat, it like takes over everything and everybody starts concentrating on that. And I didn't want that for Marf or anybody else that's just trying to listen, So sometimes I don't, speak or type in the chat when I'm actually there. And that's the reason why. Now, I didn't used to have to worry about that, but now it's getting a little bit where I have to pay attention to that because I got over 40,000 subs. So there's a lot of people talking to me and that kind of thing. And I always try to respond no matter whose chat I'm in. And, at Marfugel, they have to run the slow-mo because they get so many viewers and people are in there just chatting away, man. And it's good. It's good stuff, too, most of the time. Most of the time it's respectful. Sometimes it's not. But just like here, it's the same everywhere. Discourse is getting worse. Yeah, and that's, I like to think that I fight against that getting worse. I like to encourage healthy disagreements that lead to some sort of a solution. And I have to say this too. I watch a lot of debate channels. I'm not sure if you guys have ever checked those out. There's a lot of decent debate channels out there. But one of my favorites is called Modern Day Debate. His name's James, and he's a nice guy. He's very fair, straight across the board. I think he's a Christian, but his platform is totally open and unbiased, which means anybody and everybody's welcome to come on and debate whatever subject they need to. And I think that's a good avenue. I really do. At that point, right? So yeah, I do. You guys should check him out. Modern Day Debate. He's a good guy, and again, guys. I mean, they do all kinds of different debates, and some of it even deals with what we're talking about here. Let's just. I'll take you guys over there here in a few minutes just to let you guys see it. I'll just show you some thumbnails. That's it. To get you some titles, but you can see this dancing around, guys. This isn't nothing we wouldn't be expecting when we get some solar weather. It's not like bam, 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 bam. Yeah, MP Ward, you know what? That's me too. I'm a very positive person, but I'm very sensitive to the negative stuff. I really am. So when I get, negativity thrown at me, sometimes it's hard for me to deflect that and kind of put it in perspective. And sometimes I need people to tell me, help me out of that for a minute. Be like, listen, man, they said what they said. You said what you had to say. Keep moving. So that's what I do now. I've gotten a lot better at it, that's for sure. I used to get so frustrated to the point where I just wanted to throw my channel away. And then I sat down and asked myself, what good would that do? All that would be doing is, becoming defeated because I let somebody do that to me. And I won't do that. I ain't going to do that no more. I ain't going to lose those battles anymore. not within my own head. So, yeah. Now, so let's check out the earthquakes real quick. And, yeah, that thing just popped off, it looks like. A 4.2. These are all happening here within just a few hours, guys. These are the last day. I think I got it set on 4.5 or greater. Let me look. No, I got it on 1 day, 2.5. Okay. I'm going to leave it there because there's enough here to talk about. You can see how there's a 5.3 in the Philippines. I seen Sig type of 5.5 down in the chat. That might be what it was. So I always, just like the big earthquake agency, I ain't gonna say the name, it's right up here. Okay. You know how they always downgrade it every time. So I've gotten into a habit where I'll take this number and upgrade it in my own head, because that's really what the truth is. Dutch has proven that time and time again. So you got these going on too. And again, a lot of these were happening at the same time we were getting those hit on our magnetosphere. So, gives you an idea there. Now, there was one way down here. What I'm going to do then, I want you guys to see this other one. Let's just do this. Okay, here's one way down here. That was a 5.2. There was actually a couple of them down here. There's that 6.9 that happened the other day. That was on the 18th. So, most definitely got earthquake activity. And we have been having an uptick in solar weather. So it makes really, really good sense. So, yeah. Back to this real quick, because I wanted to show you guys the magnetosphere and what's going on with the solar wind stuff, because so this is the solar wind speed. Again, guys, I'm not sure how well we can actually trust that number. I tend not to think that we can trust it very well. Because simply for the fact that the other tools hardly ever read what this thing reads when it says like 1700 or 2000 something. That's extremely fast wind, guys. You're talking 4 to 5 million miles per hour. But you can see here that this thing is still doing kind of nutty stuff here on this. Now, this is the one I want to show you, because again, guys, this is the one that really makes people understand what's actually going on. Something else I want to show you guys here. You see the date, 9/22. Watch this. We're into the 9/23 right there, right? Now, you see what just happened there? We go from 0100 to 15, which means it skipped 14 hours of time. And look at the first capture we get when it came back online. We got our bow shock out here. We're getting compressed. Well, why are we doing this in the back? So thought I'd point that out again. So, it definitely, we're getting upticks here, guys. And this is from solar weather right here, okay? You can almost even see the stuff spiraling in. See that? So that's just another one. And if you look right here, this is one of the spirals. See how it gets up in here? So anybody that's going to tell you that you can't get energy inside like that, they're wrong. You can. This is inside our magnetosphere. This is behind our protection. Okay, our first line of protection, I should say. We're still getting protected by the Earth's magnetic field anyway here. All the way down until it makes it through. So, Let's go here real quick. Where was I going? Oh, right here. This is the other Magnetosphere tool. Okay. This is the Australian version. We're gonna check it out. It's the same thing, guys. The sun's over here to the left. It just doesn't have all the fancy dancy colors. Okay. This is the bow shock, the leading edge of our protection. You can see it kind of bouncing in there. This one does show the VZ, and it is staying in the negative for the most part. So that means that it thinks we're going to be getting, you know, those kinds of readings. And that's why we're taking hits, right? Okay, let's go back over here. I'm going to hit refresh on the... So, yeah. Not really seeing much there right now. Space weather. You can back off of that. I was hoping this thing... Let's update this thing too. See what we get. Not much more data there. It's all pretty much stayed the same. So, but like I said, guys, that's actually a decent coronal hole. I think that once it gets, well, right around here, we'll probably connect to it. So let me show you this. Remember yesterday I showed you guys the graph that shows the coronal holes? Here it is right here. Look how big this thing is. That's coronal hole number 1, right? And I'm assuming they're going to call this one 2. I'm not sure why they've got it mapped that way. I think it's just still trying to outline the same kind of thing, but just like normal, you're always going to have holes down here on the poles, okay? So, oh goodness gracious. Let's see here. So, I really don't have much more than that, guys. Let me, this look familiar to you guys? Let me show you. I'm going to talk about this for a second. Okay. Let me get the chat up here. So, you guys see these, right? See where my cursor is? This is that asteroid that was close, right? Now, what does this look like to you? These dots, you see them? This right here is the same phenomenon that we're seeing. You see the perfectly spaced out between here to here? On the LASCO C2, when we see those glitches, okay? It's usually charged particles or whatever causing the tool to view it that way. But some of the signatures we see look exactly like this. This isn't like alien stuff. This isn't UFOs. This isn't anything that most people try to say that it is. It's not. It's simply just a reflection of the camera. You know, it's the camera's interpretation of charged particles moving in front of it. This is what it sees and how it sees it. And if you get a big bright flash in there, a lot of times that's just light getting into the lens. It wasn't able to block it, you know, it just got overexposed. It happens with our regular cameras, guys, okay? And I'm only addressing this because I want you guys to understand that even though somebody might have the complete right intentions, and they really truly wholeheartedly believe that this is some sort of a, I don't know, an alien fleet, I guess you could call that, man, it's just not. And I can show you and prove to you guys that it's not, without using anybody else's whatever. I can simply show you guys the camera. The camera will show you that this is nothing more than a reflection of what's inside that camera. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say. You know, we can't always go all the way to the edge and then jump on over. This is one of those instances. And I get it, because when I first seen these things, I thought it was that what I just said. Okay, I really did. But as I dug into it, and I, you know, showed you guys pictures of it, I took some time and made a couple videos on it just to show people what my opinion was on it. And you're still welcome to believe what you want to believe. I'm not going to be mad either way. I'm not going to get offended or any of that stuff. You know? But this right here, I ain't saying that there can't be UFOs or aliens. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that this right here is not that. There's other things out there that could be. But this right here is explainable. Without having to rely on, you know, some government agency to tell me that this is a fluke. I can prove this without using that. Just by simply showing you the camera. It's really, seriously, it's that simple. So, yeah. Goosebumps. Who's got goosebumps? Is goosebumps up in here? Just got some heavy goosebumps. What's going on? What's going on? Fill me in, guys. Do I need to go back further or what? Goosebumps 2020. You guys talking about like that kid's horror show or something? Yeah, Body and Soul. I agree. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I was hoping it's something like that. Yeah, there's a kid show called Goosebumps. It's like it's a Halloween type of situation. And I thought, well, maybe that's what they're talking about. So, yeah. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. You know, that's what we need, guys. We need to just, you know, be cordial with everybody and just keep moving, you know. We don't have to... That's one place I do excel. I don't have to be right. And I accept that fact. And because I accept the fact of that, I actually will become correct the majority of the time, even when I'm incorrect, because I will correct myself. When somebody else shows me that I was wrong, I will be the first one here saying, hey, I was wrong, guys. You know, I was thinking it was this and it's not. Just like this stuff here. Because I actually did a couple videos on this early on in my channel. And I actually pulled them down because I didn't want anybody thinking that this was what I was saying it was back then. And that's why I did that. And let me tell you, one of those videos had over 40,000 views. You know, I don't really care about the views because I don't monetize. You know, that didn't really do anything, but it did put, you know, when you see somebody's video and it's got 40,000 views, sometimes it'll draw more traffic over to see what you got to say. Because they're saying, well, what did 40,000 people have, you know, what did they get to look at over there? That kind of thing. Oh. But I've had a couple videos. I had one of them that hit 60,000. I had one that hit 50. You know. You know, it is a marker that lets me know that people are listening and paying attention to what I'm saying. Okay? That's what's more important to me when I look at a view. A lot of people, they'll look at a view and they're seeing dollar signs. Not me. Because it has nothing to do with that. So, but yeah, these right here. And I guess I think I got a picture of this, of the camera. I really would, oh, thoughts on that? Yeah. Will, that's a huge subject too. That could be, there's so many, you know, if you want my thoughts on it, I think it's very, very possible that eventually that could give us some, you know, issues. So, oh heck, we'll just call them meteors. Good one, Darlene. Awesome. Oh, goodness. Yeah, Ellie. Yeah, for sure. You know, when we do change seasons, we have a natural tilt, but I think you're talking about the wobble. So, um, but yeah, guys, this stuff right here, it's very explainable by just showing you camera parts, and that's what I've started to do. You know, because I honestly did think that this was something different than what it is. And once you see what these cameras look like, you're like, oh my gosh, that's an exact match. The question then becomes, what caused the light? Okay, that leads you down a whole nother path, right? I tell you what, I think I do want to take you guys over and show you seeds because, sorry about that. Let's first off, I'm gonna pin this real quick. All right, let's take you over here to seeds real quick. So right there on the end, you can kind of see where that solar flare started to pop out on the edge. Not real bad, but you've seen a little jet down here too. It's like this stuff over here, okay? This satellite's about 1,000,000 miles closer to the sun than what we are. It's out in front of us. With that being said, the space environment that this thing is in is probably the same environment the Earth is in. So when you look at this and you start seeing stuff flying around like little dots, looks like a little blink, like it sparkles, that's most likely that's either charged particles or it's meteor debris. You know, kind of a debris type of situation. Now, guys, you have to understand that a meteor shower is nothing more than us passing through an old comet tail that left debris. Okay, that's what's going on with that. So, you know, some debris things are expected, and this is where I struggle because our technology has changed so much that we can see so many more things at such a high clarity. And I think what it does is we kind of fool ourselves sometimes to think, oh my gosh, look at this. This is crazy. Nobody's ever seen nothing like this before. Well, just because somebody has never seen it before does not mean that it didn't happen before and does not mean that it's perfectly natural. It just means that now we have the equipment and the technology to see it. And some of the upticks in the numbers that we see across the board. Hi, Ricky. Some of the upticks in the numbers that we see across the board is that we have to offset that a little bit. I'm not saying that the increase on everything that we see is caused by that. But I will say this, that everything that we're saying that has an uptick, some of it is our technology is able to see it better on everything. It doesn't mean it accounts for the whole amount of the uptick. It just means that it accounts for some of it. So, you know, it's, you know, I really try my best to try to walk that line. And it gets hard sometimes. So, let me do this real quick. I'm going to... typically don't do this because sometimes I have personal photographs in here. This is another example of what happens when it gets too much light. See? See this? That's what that is, guys. That's the occulter. All this is a very normal picture. All it is the shutter was trying to close as it was getting flooded with light. That's why you're seeing what you're seeing. Looks like an eyeball, right? But you're always, when you see these flashes, you're always going to see this thing here, either on here or down here. Because they flip it 180 degrees sometimes. It's holding that occulter. That's what this thing is doing. It's not some big, huge, gigantic mothership or anything like that. I can show you the camera and show you the part. It's not that, it's not that hard to go do that. And matter of fact, I'll probably do that at a later time. But, I know people get a little upset when we do things like that because it goes against what they thought it was. But just like me, they need to learn, those kinds of people, that kind of character, they need to learn to be able to say, hey, oh my gosh, I've been saying this for over a year now, I'm wrong. You have to understand that if you're getting smarter and better at this stuff, some of the stuff that you thought was true isn't anymore. And you have to correct that. You owe that to the people that you're talking to. And that's kind of what, that's kind of what I look at. I hope, and I do see across our community that it is getting a little bit better. I don't think it's ever going to go all the way away. You're always going to have those guys out there that are sensationalizing things to the extent that it just flat ticks me off because people like my subscribers start getting taken advantage of. And that's when it bothers me. I've been around, I've studied this, I've researched these tools down to the actual components of how this thing is actually taking a picture. 99% of the people that do the research on these kinds of things don't do that. They look at this and they say, oh my gosh, that's the eye of, from Lord of the Rings or something. You know what I mean? No, this is not. This is not that at all. And, I see a lot of, camera, personal photographers, camera yourself from, your cell phone. Do yourself a favor. When you guys, seriously, I ain't saying you can't catch stuff with your phone, because you most certainly can. I've done it myself. Scott's done it. Brian's in here. He's done it. Everybody has done that at one time or another. What you have to do, guys, is you have to do the simple finger test. If you got your camera up and you take your finger and you cover the sun, just like what this occulter is doing. Anything that's a lens flare will disappear. You could cut if it's a lens flare. Say the lens flare is way over here, right? You bring your finger in to right here and cover up that main light source. This lens flare will disappear. If it doesn't disappear, that's when you dig into it more. Okay? And even if it doesn't disappear, sometimes it can be a reflection. There's two main things I would say if people are going to take stuff with their own cameras and stuff. Always do that test with your finger test. And never, ever take a picture behind a piece of glass. Because it will screw your photograph up so bad that you'll think there's all kinds of crazy stuff there, and it's not. All it is was that piece of glass. If you're taking a picture from inside your house through a window, don't do that because it's gonna look like something that it's not. So I think what I'm trying to say here is that at this point in the game, for me, I have a little bit more of a responsible way of thinking that I don't want to put something out there, even if it's theory, to that level. Because if I do and I'm wrong, there's going to be somebody along the line that even though I'm saying it was a theory of mine, they're going to take it as the truth. Because even when we present our own theories, that if we have a theory like that, we actually believe that that's what it is, right? We just haven't been able to prove it. So you're going out there, you're putting your theory out there in such a way, most people do this, and I do it myself, that it makes it seem like it's a given truth, when in reality it's not. It hasn't been proven yet. And that's, and there are theories out there that we'll never ever be able to prove, but we know that they are true. I mean, I get that, okay? Like gravity. Now I know that's another big conversation, and I'm not going to go down that road. But that is one of those things. It's still considered a theory, but we all accept it as fact because we can use that theory and predict things that are going to happen with that theory. So it almost proves itself, is what I'm trying to say. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I try my best not to offend people because I want everybody to have their own ideas. I don't want to steer people's minds. I want to just show you the observation, give my opinion on what I think it is, and move on. And try to answer and help people out the best that I can with what I'm seeing. So, and I know that sometimes, no matter what you do, you're going to offend somebody once in a while. That's just what it's going to be. If you're truly trying to show somebody something that shouldn't be there, that stuff's going to happen. People are going to get offended. I just don't, I don't want to be the person that comes out here and says this, that, and the other, and then somebody changed their life in a drastic way, and then only to find out that what I said 6 months later was not true. My theory didn't pan out. That's one of the biggest fears I have because I don't want to do that to somebody. And I hope people understand that because, another thing, I get a lot of emails, hey, why don't you say that this is this, this, and this? Well, because of all the stuff I just said. I won't steer people's minds. I don't want to do that. And that's where when I go back and I've gotten questions like, man, I'll never be able to understand that graph. Or I'll never be able to understand that tool. Well, let me tell you something, guys. You can. Don't undersell yourself, no matter who you are. I'm talking to everybody here. It might take a little bit of effort, and it might take some time. But there's people like myself, Scott, and everybody else that will answer questions the best that they can and help you find the answers to the questions that you have in a way that you'll be able to understand what you're looking at. And if we do that for each other, that person that we just helped like that will in turn do the same thing for somebody else. It's a snowball effect. Just like, negativity is a snowball effect, right? We see that every day. Well, the positivity is too. Cool, Postman. Cool. Glad to have you, man. You got a channel? You do any videos or anything? Yeah, MP, you're hitting on something there pretty cool right now. That's definitely that's a conversation that needs to be had. With the solar cycle and how they, let me say this about the solar cycle. It's not a guarantee anything, okay? It's just not. We can go back and what they've done, and they actually got a little bit smarter this time, is the fact that now they will retro it back when they're talking about finding a start date for a solar cycle to start on. Because what's the requirement for that? Well, you know how they tell the difference between solar cycle 24 and 25? The polarity of the sunspots are reversed. So on 24 it would be positive negative, and in 25 it will be negative positive. Because that's what a sun cycle is. It is a pole reversal, magnetic pole reversal on the sun. The sun does it every 11 years. Okay? So that's how they tell the difference between a sunspot from solar cycle 24 to 25 and so on and so forth. So as we leave solar cycle 25 that we're in now, the same thing will be true from solar cycle 25 to 26. The polarity will change back the other way. Okay? So with that being said, they're now smart enough that they're not telling you the start date until like a month later when they can go back and look at the data and say, listen, this was the day that it started. And that's exactly what they did. And that was one of the smart things that they did do. It really was. I was actually kind of impressed with that. I was surprised they did that. You know, and you guys have heard me talk even in this video about, you know, why only use the sunspot as a marker if the sun's active? Because it is not showing you all the activity that's happening. It's just simply not. So if that's the only marker you're going to use, you're not going to get it correct every time. And with our, like I said a minute ago, with our technology now, we should be able to do better than that. Okay? You know, we got Parker SP out there right now. I realize that's only one satellite, but you guys understand how awesome that one satellite is? Let me show you something. Let's do this real quick. Sorry, I'm trying to give you guys the best thing I can here, guys. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I don't want to not get it out either. Okay, here's the CME tracker. And I showed you guys this yesterday. If you guys look at the key up here, it tells you exactly what you're looking at, right? You got Earth, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Osiris, Parker SP, Stereo A. Okay? Now, for those that don't know, this is Stereo A. Okay? When they launched this satellite, they launched two of them at the same time. They had Stereo A and they had Stereo B, which was over here. Well, we no longer get stuff from Stereo B for a whole lot of reasons that I'm not going into. Okay? It's a big conversation that doesn't really apply to what we're getting ready to talk about. So you got the Parker SP here, right? You see what this thing's doing? Okay? That thing is close to the sun. This is Mercury. This orange ball right here. So you can see when they say it kisses the sun, it's kissing the sun. And it's doing it multiple times. I do find it kind of funny that it hung around over here until this CME blew off. And right about the time, watch this, see that? It started moving that direction when that CME blew off. My question there was, did they send this thing around so they could see that sunspot or that active area that we're looking at now better? Because this thing is, you know, it's already discovered quite a few things. It's already helping explain why the corona of the sun is hotter than the surface. You know, a lot of people can't understand that, and I've tried to explain it in this way. And again, I can't prove any of this other than to say that I did it here on our planet. Now, whether or not it applies to the sun is a whole other story. But I can take reflectors in a UV bulb and take the energy from that UV bulb, the light, the UV, measure it, say it's at 100. We'll just use that as a generic term. If I add 4 or 5 reflectors and angle them certain directions, I can get a reading of 150 in a different position from a bulb that only puts out 100. It's crazy, isn't it? But that's how it works. You wouldn't think that you could take and increase the energy like that from the original source, but you can. It's all about focal points. It's all about, you know, what kind of materials and how reflective things are. You know, you can go off a whole lot of different directions here. But that's why the corona of the sun has been a big topic of debate, because they really want to know why. And to this day, there's really not that many explanations. Now, they got this thing here. They got it into the corona, the Parker SP. Now, for a satellite to do that and not get destroyed, wow. You know, you see what happens to our magnetosphere when we get solar wind, and we're 93 million miles away from the sun. This thing is going up and pretty much just taking a nap in the corner of the sun. It's sitting there getting blasted. Yeah, Z-Lot, the sun is such a, it's not known actually. I mean, it's such a crazy thing to look at and understand the way that we can, Yeah, that's another thing too. You could talk about the moon, if it's hollow or not, and all those kinds of things. There's so many theories on everything, and that's where a lot of the discussion and a lot of the, a lot of the hatefulness comes from. Okay, because there are so many theories, and everybody has one, and everybody wants to be right. So you know what I do? Because I used to do the same. I used to feel the same way. I've changed in the aspect of this. I don't go into it wanting to be right. Okay, I'll go into it with my own theory. If it pans out that it's right, great. But my thing is, I concentrate on what the actual truth is. If I find the truth and the truth isn't what I thought it was, or what I was telling everybody, hey, my theory, this, that, and the other, but now I figured out it's this. Sorry. That's how we get better. And like I said 1,000 times, Scott uses the, knowledge is power, and he's right. Okay? That's exactly what it is. So, part of being knowledgeable is knowing, which is where the word knowing comes from, is from knowledgeable, is knowing when you're proven wrong, right? You have to, in order to have knowledge, you have to know that you were wrong on whatever you thought. That's part of having knowledge, guys. Not only does it just, show people that you're real and you make mistakes and you're willing to admit it and all that kind of stuff. You're not the guy out here running saying the sky's going to fall. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be the person setting dates and having to move those dates every 3 days or 4 days just to keep your channel going, because you're going to lose all credibility because you're out here saying date. You know what I mean? It just never works out good for those people. I can, again, guys, I have my own opinions when things will happen. But I can tell you this, I don't have a specific day. And if somebody can give you a specific day, this is my challenge. This is what I would say. And I know I'm kind of off here a little bit, but I would challenge somebody to set, if you're going to set a date, well then show me one time you set a date and you were correct. I bet they can't show you any of it. I bet they can't. I bet they can't. I would have a hard time thinking that anybody could show you one point or one time that, hey, I predicted 5 months ahead on this day, this hour, this thing was going to happen. And then it happened. I've not seen anybody do that. Ever. So, you don't put dates on things for that reason. It's irresponsible. Because what you do when you do that, and when that date passes and what you said was going to happen didn't, it immediately causes doubt and confusion in the whole community that was following that person. Because now they're scrambling, trying to figure out, well, if they were wrong, what's right? And does it matter who was wrong or right? You see what I'm getting at, guys? I really wish, I really do. I just really wish that people would just back off the dates, man. You can have your theory, you can have your season, okay? So, I mean, you can have your season. If you are out there, if you're a Bible believing person, or even if you're not, if you just got to read scripture and stuff like that, that's what it says. You can know the season, but you're not going to know the day or the hour. So yeah, Allison, yeah, we live in a simulation. That's, again, that's what I'm saying. Wherever I stand on that, it's where I stand on that, and that it's definitely a possibility, and all this, and it just is. I just don't know how to prove that. And, I know we have a lot of it. I can show you some evidence of it, but can I 100% erase all doubt? I couldn't, personally. So that's kind of why, that's kind of why I don't address those kinds of subjects. Because I would be confusing people, and I don't want to do that. I'm not, I won't talk on a subject that I haven't researched all the way out and feel comfortable enough giving my opinion to the point where, if I'm wrong, at least I had a reason of being wrong. You know what I mean? I think everything is possible, guys. I really do. And that goes back to the whole open-minded thing. We all fight against the dogma, so let's not get the reverse dogma and fight against ourselves and against something that could actually be true. It just most certainly is. Yeah, it's a big thing, guys. It really is. And frankly, I don't know if we're ever going to be able to sit here and say that we're 100% on a subject that big. I think that we could say we're 99%, but I don't know that any of us could sit here and say we're 100%, because there's always that little bit that we could be wrong. Unless it's empirical data, okay? What I mean by empirical data, it means that it can't be false. You can see it with your eyes, you can hold it with your hand, you can say, hey, it's right here, here it is. That's why, and I touched on that subject with, I'm not going to get into that whole subject I brought up yesterday with the pancake style earth. I'm not going to say that word because it hit the algorithm. The globe model can predict things, where things are going to be, what things are going to be doing, how it's going to do this, how it's going to do that, and it's proven that happens, right? So that's kind of like empirical data. So that's what I'm saying when we're talking about that kind of data. I can say, hey, I look up at the sky, that star is there. I can tell you in 6 months it's going to be over there at that degree, that angle, and then in 6 months, if we go look, it's going to be there. That's empirical data. So, yeah. Yeah, Brian, you mentioned the Revelation sign. That's the other thing, guys. You guys know that, I believe in what I believe. And, as far as that Revelation sign goes, I do think that it's a strong possibility that that's actually what happened. I don't think that it would be hard to argue against that. But like you just said, Brian, it's 3 years, right? So this is my question. Okay, it's going to help me prove my point here, what I'm saying, and why I do what I do. What if, check this out, if, I ain't saying it's going to be this way, I'm just saying, what if, we talk about that, and then you start talking about tribulation, even if you add 7 years to that, if you do just, maybe you do the 3.5 mid-trib type of thing. Let's just say, we'll just call it full trib to give it the whole time frame, right? What if in 7 years from now, well, it would be 4 years from now, we're all still sitting here shaking each other's hand? Then what's everybody going to do? You guys see what I'm saying? So that's what like I said, I have my own opinions on that. If I had to say yes, that's exactly what the Revelation 12 sign did, because it most certainly does look like that when you go look at the star charts and stuff. Okay, it most certainly does. Yeah, I know, but like I said, Brian, I mean, all that stuff you just said right there, that's all up for debate. It is, because there's a lot of people that think that it's not like exactly like that. Some people think it's this, some people think it's that, and none of us have been proven right on that at all, ever. Yeah, no kidding, Brian. Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is what and so I caution people. People can do what they want to do when it comes to this. I really truly believe this. That, if you want to put your neck out there and say, hey, this is what's going to happen on this day in this time frame, but just be willing to have to, eat some crow if you're wrong. And I guess the next thing I would ask guys is, does it, this is going to sound all kinds of crazy. So give me a second here, okay? I hate even talking about this. Man, how did I get wrapped up in this conversation? Anyway, what does it matter? And when I say that, if we're to be ready for any of that, what we're talking about, shouldn't we always be ready? If you want to talk specifically like about Christianity and stuff like that, and what Christians believe in that stuff, okay? The term would be keep your lamp full. Okay, you don't want to be that person that isn't ready when it's time, right? So if you keep your lamp full, you don't have to worry about that date, because you're already ready to go. That's how people should look at this. We can give people warnings and stuff like that, but I can tell you this: 9 times out of 10, when you start talking about like the Revelation 12 prophecy and all that kind of stuff, people that need to hear it aren't going to understand it. That's just the truth of it. And so the point of trying to predict like the second coming or anything like that, why? If we should be staying ready for something like that, we shouldn't have to set the dates. We should just be doing what we're doing the same every day anyway, trying to help as many people as we can. You see what I'm getting at, guys? I mean, I hope you guys understand what I said there, because if people would grab a hold of that, that's actually pretty powerful. Because if we could drop that whole trying to set the specific date thing, then we would most certainly be helping everybody. Because then we could concentrate on staying ready for whatever we need to be ready for. Yeah, no, Brian, I'm not coming at you, man, at all. I don't want you thinking that. I get it. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, we can know the season, but that's kind of what I'm saying. How long's the season? Well, we can go back and we can get technical about it and say this, that, and the other. A lot of people talk about the Feast of Trumpets and that kind of thing, if you're going to go down that subject line. But at the same time, again, those prophecies and stuff that's been said, this is my fear. Okay, I'll tell you, this is really what it boils down for me. that if I was to step out there, this is just an example. I'll play devil's advocate here for a minute. Step out there and I'm going to say, hey, in 5 days, that mountain over there is going to fall on me. It's going to fall on this town. It's going to kill everybody. Say that was, just for example, it was in one of the prophetic books of the Bible or something. And I read that, and that's how I interpreted it. And everybody else with me interpreted it the same. So I said, well, on this day, this is going to happen. Well, what happens if it didn't? What you just did there was cause somebody that was on the fence of whether they were going to believe a certain way. You actually pushed them away. So setting dates is very, very dangerous, in my opinion. And that's why I speak against it, because there's no reason to do that. If you want to be, keep your head on a swivel, you should keep your head on a swivel no matter what or when something's going to happen. You should just be ready. It's that simple. If people could get that attitude, just to be ready, and actually, apply that to their life, all that argument goes away. It just does. It really does. It will, yeah, there you go. It really does. It would eliminate so many arguments on so many different levels if people would just understand the fact that setting a date is just so crazily bold. I mean, it's so bold to the fact that, oh, man, it's just crazy. Yeah, for sure. Back at you, man. I support everybody in their ideas and their theories, even if I don't agree. I do. Because, again, there's always that chance that I'm wrong. And, when I'm talking about myself. So, and I'm sure that there's people that are going to not really agree with what I just said there. Okay, I get it. And that's fine. But that is, that the conversation we just had just now is something I've avoided for a long time. And, this will probably be the last time I talk about it, at least here on my channel. Because it does. It sows so much discord. It sows so much anger in people. There is no coming to the middle on a subject like this. There's just not. So people are going to believe what they believe. And, yes, we're supposed to be, trying to do what we can to help people understand what we think is the truth. But sometimes what we think is the truth is wrong. And that's the danger with all that. That's just kind of how I do things. Nobody has to do things the way I do it. That's just me. I just want people to understand why I say and why I do the things that I do here on my channel, because that is what it is. And I mentioned it before, guys. I had people, my whole life, from the time I was 2, the second coming was coming tomorrow. You know what I mean? And when that didn't happen, that caused doubt in me. And that's why I feel so strong about it. I was able to overcome that doubt, but it took me a while. And I don't want that to happen to anybody else that I care about, or even just people in general. So I really hope people understand that. I really do, because I lived that from the day I was born till I was whatever age. Bam, bam, bam. Is anybody still in there? Guys, do you hear me? Hello. Wow. Wonder what happened. Let me check something real quick. Oh, you got, okay. My chat locked up, guys. Sorry about that. That was my fault. I've probably been sitting here in the quiet. Oh, okay. My chat locked up, guys. Sorry about that. Okay. It was my chat box. Sorry. Tell you what, I'll just click off of that. We'll see if we can't get us another one up here. There it goes. All right. Wow. Man. Good thing I wasn't over here passing gas or something. You guys have been laughing at me. Alright, let's pop that chat back out. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean for any of that to happen. Who was asking about the asteroid? Sun flare. Yeah, I showed the sun flare already, guys. Yeah. But, good to see you, Christine. How you doing tonight? Ricky, how you doing? Good to see everybody in there. I've already said hi to Ricky. Amber, Will, Loanne, MP Ward, Mary Davis. Yeah, you guys laughing at me? Oh, man. You know, with all the gremlins that were out today on this thing, I don't put nothing past it for sure. It is most definitely something that, yeah. There you go, Postman. Love it. Oh, goodness. Guys, I think I am going to have to cut it off here. But, yeah. I just wanted to bring that stuff to you tonight, and I didn't mean for all that at the end. You know, I'm sure that I'll probably get raked over the coals over going off on another rant. I really didn't rant, though. I was just trying to conversate with you guys. But, yeah. The Schumann? It's those Schumann blues, baby. Are you buffering now, too? Yeah, I think I got... Let me just do this real quick before we get off here. Here, let's do this. Oh, I just kicked off my live stream. Think I did anyway. We'll see. I don't think I did. But let's bring the Schumann back up. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, okay, we're back. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, okay. So, guys, I think I am going to go ahead and end it. I'm tired anyway. I appreciate you guys. So, still buffering, Isaiah? Guys, I think I am going to go ahead. I tried to click everything off there that was running, so if you're buffering, I appreciate I'm not sure that it's me. Still buffering, Isaiah? Guys, I think I am going to go ahead. I tried to click everything off there that was running, so if you're buffering, I'm not sure that it's me. Still buffering, okay, I'm just going to kill it, guys. Sorry about that. So, everybody have a good rest of the week. I'll try to come back with you guys tomorrow, and we'll see what's going on. Sorry about that. We'll pay attention to the flares and stuff, guys. Everybody have a good rest of the week. I'll tell you what, let's just look here real quick. See what's going on. Sorry about that. We'll pay attention to the flares and stuff, guys. Everybody have a good rest of the week. I'll tell you what, let's just look here real quick. See what's going on. Sorry about that. We'll pay attention to the flares and stuff, guys. Everybody have a good rest of the week. I'll tell you what, let's just look here real quick. See what's going on. We'll pay attention to the flares and stuff, guys. Everybody have a good rest of the week. I'll tell you what, let's just look here real quick. We'll check this out and see if it's doing anything. I don't think it is. We'll check this out. Yeah, I mean, I see, like I said, I'm seeing a little bit of action going on here, but it's nothing that's like extravagant or huge.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, like I said, I'm seeing a little bit of action.
Yeah,
going
guys.
on here,
Oh man, I'm tired anyway, guys. So yeah, I think I am going to go ahead and end it, guys. You guys really have a good rest of the week. Like I said, I'll come back tomorrow and we'll try to get this going again. So God bless. Yahuwah saves, and you drink this.